Alright, so again, if you're on Edpuzzle, make sure you watch the video all the way through, but today's lesson is about integers and absolute value. Yesterday we were introduced to something called a negative number. We looked at how negative numbers were the opposite of positive numbers. Again, this is a word you want to understand as opposite, but it's the opposite of the positive number using some examples. We talked about going up 6 floors in an elevator, how you're going up, so it would be what we call a positive 6. And going down 6 floors is the opposite of going up, and so that would be a negative 6. That moving forward 18 steps, because forward is typically the direction we want to go, is a positive 18. And that moving backwards 18 steps would be the opposite of moving forward, and it would be a negative 18. With all that, pretty much each of the numbers we wrote are called integers. Integers are positive and negative whole numbers, which just means no decimals, no fractions. So this is an integer, which, as I said, you don't usually have to write the positive. So 6 is an integer, negative 6 is an integer, 18, because we really don't need the positive, is an integer, and negative 18 is also an integer. Take a second to look at this list and pause the video if you need to see if you can identify all the integers in here and just see how many you notice are in the list. You should see 4 of them. This is an integer. It's a positive 8, whole number. I'm sorry, I think you should see 3 of them. 4.7 is not an integer because it has a decimal in it. No good. Remember, no fractions, no decimals. Negative is fine. It would be an integer if it wasn't for the decimal. That is also not an integer because of the decimal point. This is not an integer even though it's negative because it's a fraction. So again, no fractions, no decimals. This is an integer. 0 is also an integer because it is a whole number. It does not have a decimal. It does not have a fraction on it. Negative 0.9, not because of the decimal. And then what we call square root of 3 also is not an integer either. So again, when you're talking about integers, that's what you're looking for, and that's what we're going to be working with a lot, at least for the first unit or so, in terms of doing what we're doing in this book. In order to work with integers, you need to understand how the value affects the situation. So now you have to kind of slow down and think a little bit. That'll help you work out the word problem that you are given. Look at the examples, or as it says, examples, and try to grasp the process that's being used. For example, on A, it'll just be a problem that says you get into an elevator and go up 10 floors after realizing you did not want to go that far. You went down 3 floors. If you started on the ground, what floor did you end on? Although you can do this problem in your head, I recommend that you write down the problem. It's probably going to ask you to do it anyway. But again, write out the expression and then actually solve it. And here's what you do. Remember I said how I mark up my page just a little bit. So you get into an elevator and go up 10 floors. It says you realize you didn't want to go that far, so you go down 3 floors. So up 10 floors is a positive 10, or just a 10. If I go down 3 floors, that means I went down or subtracted 3 from where I was, or you could view down as a negative 3, and 10 minus 3 obviously is 7, so you should have ended up on the 7th floor. Okay. You open a bank account and deposit $90 to start. Later on that week, you need to withdraw $35 to pay a bill. How much money is left in your account? Key things. Again, 2 numbers we're looking at is depositing 90, withdrawing 35. Now maybe you don't understand what those 2 words mean, but to deposit $90 means that you take $90 and put it into the bank. When you withdraw $35, that means you're taking it out of the bank. So again, deposit 90 would be the same as a positive 90. That's where your amount is right now. If later on you had to withdraw 35, it means you had to take away 35 from your amount. Now this I'm not used to, so I'm going to stack up the way that we usually do, or used to have to do, with a minus sign there. Remember that we cannot do 0 minus 5, so we have to borrow from 9, turn it into an 8, turning 0 into 10, 10 minus 5 being 5. Use your fingers if you have to. 8 minus 3 being 5, meaning that we have $55 still left in the account. Another part of today's lesson deals with a concept called absolute value. So consider this statement. The nickel was dropped and fell 45 feet. If we only cared about how far the nickel traveled without thinking about direction, what number would come to mind? It's 45. We don't care if it raised 45. We don't care if it dropped 45. We only care that it changed by 45 feet. Another statement. Ryan has lost 11 pounds since joining the track team. Again, if we don't care about the direction of change, what number of pounds should come to mind? 11. All right. So when you're talking about absolute value, it means I don't care about how it changed. I care about how much it changed. So taking this back to our initial part, I don't care that I went up 6 floors. I care that we changed by 6 floors. I don't care that we went down 6 floors. I care that we changed 6 floors. That's the absolute value. All right. Moving forward 18 steps, I just care that we took 18 steps. Moving backwards 18 steps, I just care that we took 18 steps. All right. So the absolute value of a number is shown algebraically using 2 bars. This statement here is read as the absolute value of 6. And the absolute value of 6, I don't care if it's positive or negative, I just care that we changed by 6. All right. There it is. This statement here is read as the absolute value of negative 28. Because there is a negative 28 in there, it's read as the absolute value of negative 28. And the absolute value of negative 28, again, I don't care about whether it went up or down, I just care about the number, which is 28. Be careful with absolute values in that you don't assume that a positive absolute value is negative. All of your absolute value answers, unless it has something else going on, should come out as a regular positive number with no sign on it. Okay? Before moving on to class practice, answer the following questions to see how well you understand everything. Again, on Edpuzzle, go ahead and put down whatever answer or choose whatever answer you have there. But the first question says, Michelle earned $45 doing yard work in her neighborhood. She paid $10 to her mother for gas. Write an expression to represent the situation and determine how much money Michelle ended with. So again, show me if you're adding or subtracting, show me what you're adding or subtracting, and then find the final answer.
Yes.
On number 2, what is this answer? I can't read it to you yet.
Sure.
And number 3, I cannot read that to you just yet, but write down whatever you think the answer is. Okay. Going back to number 1, if she earned $45, that means that that's $45 which adds to her amount. If she had to pay her mother for gas, that means she lost or spent 10 of that 45 to get there. This is the expression that they're saying. Write the expression, represent the situation. That'll be your 45 minus 10. This shows me that you understand where the numbers came from. And then, of course, 45 minus 10 is $35 is what she has in the end. Number 2, don't forget this is read the absolute value of negative 56, which would be 56 down, 56 backwards, but we don't care about direction. We just care about the number 56. This is read absolute value of 24, which again, it might be up 24, forward 24, but we don't care about direction. We just care about the number 24. So just kind of keep that in mind. And again, make sure you're working for this stuff. In my class, you definitely have a quiz tomorrow, so make sure you're working to get ready for all that on your work today. Your work in class today should represent pretty much what you're looking at tomorrow. So outside of that, good luck with everything, and I will talk to you later.